Big win, Don Wilson here for Top MMA News. Here with Alexis Davis, right before making your UFC debut. We're in Winnipeg. Is this a sense of redemption for you? This is kind of where the career all started, and now here you are.
It is. It's kind of come full circle for me. And
the Kaufman fight was here, right? The very first Kaufman fight was in Winnipeg.
Yeah, and you know, though, I'm glad it's my debut here because I always feel more comfortable when I come back to Canada. So it's kind of taken the edge a little bit off.
Now, you know, speaking of that, you have been spending a lot of time in the States recently, especially training. How has that been?
It's been great since I moved out to California. It's a different world. You know, it's funny. It's because I've never trained with so many females before. It's always been guys that I've trained with. But it's like a mecca for women MMA fighters out in California. But that is also a hard time, too, because you can't fight your training partners.
Exactly. Now, how is that? It's still a very small circle of female fighters around, especially at 135 pounds. I guess everyone wants to be at 135 pounds now. How is it choosing who to train with, you know, who to reveal some secrets with, and all of that? You know,
I like to keep, you know, a close-knit group, and like I train a lot of different places, but like when I train my jiu-jitsu, I train with jiu-jitsu people. I don't train, you know, I'll train my MMA jiu-jitsu with, you know, with fighters, but it's a different part, and I like to, you know, you have little secrets, you know, kind of everywhere. So
are you a big fan of training the traditional art as well as mixing it in with the MMA?
I am. That's what I started with. So it's a big part for me. And, you know,
gi or no gi?
I like gi the best.
Yeah. Do you not find that throws you off? You know, the chokes with the collar and not having those when you go to MMA. Does that change it for you at all?
No, like I transition pretty well, and when I train for, like, if I have an upcoming fight, I train more no gi than I do anything. It just, you know, I'll do, you know, gi here and there, just kind of for fun.
You know, speaking of submission, speaking of no gi, you've had two amazing submission finishes recently. Really, Hitomi Akano, legend in women's MMA. You redeemed the Shayna Baszler loss with a dynamite victory at Invicta. You know, where does that come from? Has it been going down to the States, training, you know, obviously small town Ontario, you're not going to get the best training there, the world class. Is that where we've seen the new change in Alexis Davis?
You know, I think as a fighter at whole, not just my submission game has changed, but and it's over time, and
transitions,
you know,
just seem so much quicker lately.
Yeah, you know what? Even I feel like my stand-up has improved so much, and I think it has been my move to California. You know, I feel like I can almost think clearer. You know, I can see the fight a little bit more in slow motion than anything.
Well, you know, I don't want to say your stand-up hasn't improved, because that fight with Sarah Kaufman was literally Fight of the Year candidate, and we had it as one of the top Canadian fights for that year because it was just amazing. Do you have any thoughts on that fight? Do you feel the result was correct on that one? I know it was a very close battle back and forth. Both of you took a lot of damage.
Yeah, you know what? I can't say, because I'm very critical when I watch my own fights. So, you know, unless I come off with a decisive win, I'm like, no,
so you think you lose every decision?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm like, what am I doing? You know, I should have done that. But, you know, it was going through a hard time in my life. I was going through transitions between, you know, moving from camp to camp. So, you know, everything was meant for a reason, and, you know, maybe again in the future I'll have that opportunity again.
Well, I hope so. It was so good the second time. Let's hope we can get a third. Now, you know, you're making your UFC debut. How's the media attention? Obviously, we just heard a guy ask you some of the oddest questions I've heard a female fighter been asked, but I'm sure you're getting used to that. How is the attention?
You know, it's crazy. I've never had this much media. Like, I was up at 8 o'clock in the morning yesterday.
Main card fighter. You're with, you know, Rashad Evans, Roy Nelson, Dan Henderson.
It's incredible. Like, even when I fought for Strikeforce, I did a lot of media, but I wasn't on the main card. So it's taken a little bit to get used to, and it's hard for me because I try to do like interviews with everybody, and I can't. So it's a lot, but I'm getting more used to it.
Has that been the transition? Because I know 5 years ago I could just run up to you, grab you for a quick interview. It was easy. Here I'm waiting 20 minutes just to get to you. Has it been an easy transition for that, or is it difficult?
You know, it's kind of progressed, so it hasn't been too bad. You know, obviously it went a little bit higher when I hit the UFC, but I'm getting a lot more used to it, and I think I'm getting better, more comfortable with it, and it's something that I'm going to have to do. You know,
very true, very true, very true. Obviously, you know, it's been a great career. Now you have Rosi Sexton in front of you. What are your thoughts on that fight?
To make sure I'm on top of my game. You know, she's a veteran of the sport. She's been doing this years longer than I have.
Yeah, she has. So great stand-up.
Yeah, I don't think the lights in the crowd are something that are really gonna affect her game.
No
as much.
UFC jitters on either side. You think?
Yeah. You know what? I'm not gonna. I say no because I think it's great that I had the experience of Strikeforce. So I see a lot of the same faces, and it's run very similar, obviously, because they're both Zuffa Productions. Yeah. But I'm not gonna know until I hit the octagon. But that's Rosi. She's like she's like the Energizer Bunny, man. She doesn't stop moving. She's an aggressive fighter like myself. So I just really got to make sure that I follow my game plan because she's very well, in playing her own.
Oh, she's very well. Now, do you have a prediction for this fight? I know you're not big on it, but
me coming off with a win.
TKO submission. How you calling it?
Yeah. Anything with a W, I'm happy.
That's the best way to put it. Now, before we let you go, family, friends, sponsors, you want to give a shout out to?
Of course, my family. I'm so pumped to be out in Winnipeg.
Colborne, Ontario, right?
Yes, and my mom, my sister, my Aunt Holly, my Aunt Dan, they're flying out actually tomorrow. So they haven't seen one of my fights live in a long time.
Don't drive. I just drove up from Ontario. Too long. Flying.
Seriously? Yeah, they're flying. Don't worry, they're flying. So I'm really pumped that they're going to be here, and it's great to see them after. I'm going to head home after my fight. I'd really love to thank Purchase Green. They've been supporting me for my last few fights, and along with Torque. They're a new sponsor, but they've helped me out a lot and have my back.
Great company.
And just like to thank every single one, my family and friends back home. And my fans, I've gotten so much great responses. It's incredible to me.
Speaking of which, shout out your Twitter.
See, you're good. You're on it. Alexis Davis MMA. Make sure you guys check it out.
Definitely fans. Great on Twitter. Once again, big win, Don Wilson. Alexis Davis, top MMA news.